Hi all, welcome back to our Kali Linux Fundamentals course. This will be the last module in our course. We will discuss troubleshooting in Kali Linux machine, how to troubleshoot any problems you may have on your Kali Linux. You have to follow the common troubleshooting steps, which is checking the physical cables or buttons if you may have some problems with the physical cables or so on, how to check the network connectivity or check the network configuration on your system, how to check the surface and ports status to solve any problems you have on your machine. Then if you don't solve the problem after going through these steps, you can check Google to help you troubleshoot and solve your problems. So the troubleshooting in general means that you have to ensure that you are able to successfully overcome problems and find solutions for any problems. If you have problems connecting to the internet, for example, or the sound is not working on your system, you have to ensure that you are able to successfully overcome problems and find the real cause of these problems and start to solve these problems. The good news in this video is that if you have an experience in troubleshooting with Windows or network equipment in general, this will be very good to help you in troubleshooting Kali Linux machines as well. There are 4 main steps in troubleshooting Kali Linux machine, and actually in all troubleshooting in everything, you have to check the physical cables and buttons and so on. You have to check the network configurations or settings you may have changed on your system, and check the surfaces if it's running or active or not, and number of ports. You can change the configuration, as we said in the last video, that we can change the configuration and port numbers for some surfaces. So if you are not able to connect through SSH connection, for example, you have to check the configuration file for SSH surface and check for the port number for this surface to solve a problem to be able to connect to SSH connections. If anything of this didn't work, we can check our best friend in troubleshooting, which is Google, or any search engine that can tell you about the other users and experts' knowledge to solve the same problems they may face in past. So Google is your best friend in troubleshooting in general, or any search engines that will help you. So let us go through the first step, which is check physical, making sure that everything is plugged in and turned on. You may try to troubleshoot the connectivity to the internet while the physical cable is not plugged in. So simply the first step is to troubleshoot and check your physical cables that is plugged in and turned on. You have to check also if not anything is burned. You may have some electrical issues. You have to start to fix and change the cables and so on. If you hear some scratching or scraping suddenly on your equipment when you start your computer, for example, you may hear some weird sounds on your hard disk. So it means that it is a physical problem and you have to replace this hard disk and so on. You have to check the cables issues. If there some cable is not connecting or it's not working for any reason, such as any cut on any parts of this cable, you have to change and change this cable with working cables, and this may solve the problem of you are facing. Then if the physical step didn't work, you can check the network configuration. If you are having network issues or connectivity issues in general, you make sure that you check the network adapter settings in whatever hypervisors that you are using. For example, you are using VMware, and the default settings may be set to the host only option in network settings, and this doesn't work for some reason. you have to check the network adapter settings in the hypervisor and change it to NAT, for example, which may solve your problem. Then you double check and ping Google DNS to check that the problem is not with your DNS server, which map the IP address to domain name and vice versa. So if you can't, for example, ping Google by name, so this means that it is a problem with the DNS server. If you can't ping Google at all, with either with the IP address or the name, so this means that it is a problem with DHCP server. So you have to check all these steps and the network configurations and take it one thing at a time. Don't go nervous, or cause this can cause you any stress to fix your problems and solve the problem you have. You can also check the surfaces and ports. You may have changed the port numbers, as we saw in the last video, that we changed the default number for the SSH surface, for example, and you may have after that you forgot that you have changed the default number and you are trying to connect through the same and the default number for SSH, and it's not working for sure. So if you face a problem with this kind, you have to check the surface and the configuration using the surface command, as we showed you in the last video, to check the status of the surfaces, for example, if it's not running or running or active and so on. You can check for the port number and so on. You can do a surface and two dashes status all will show you the status for all the surface running on the system. You may need to change listening ports in the configuration file. You make sure that it works together with Apache 2 or something like this, because sometimes we can use NGIX, which is a proxy server with alongside with Apache server, which use the port 80, and NGIX maybe use the same port, so there will be some kind of conflicts in the number of ports. So we have to check the ports for each surface and what port exactly each surface is using, and remove any conflicts you may have on your system. If these all steps didn't work, you can go to your friend or your best friend in troubleshooting, which is Google, or any search engine of your choice to check for any solutions for your problem that any expert or other users may face in past, and spend some time to find a working solution on this problem, so you can use the same steps and use their solution to solve your problem. So Google in general is your best friend in troubleshooting, because it will help you to find quickly the correct solution for your problems. So this, as I said, this was the last video in our course. I hope you have enjoyed our course, and if you have any questions regarding to this module or any other module in our course, you can contact us on our group on Facebook for information security tutorials. Thank you.